tap.
A month ago.
And did you give it 5 stars? No.
It sucked.
Yes, it is.
I was way.
Hey, Marianne. How you doing?
I still can't really hear very well. It's just fluid. It'll dissipate. I'm like, really? Yep, everything's fine. Everything looks good. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just weird. I've never had it before, so I don't know what to.
More than 2.
It affects everybody differently.
Yeah, it does.
My wife, thank goodness, she got it, but not nearly as bad as I did.
She.
Well, the man COVID's a lot worse.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just like the man cold, the man stomach flu.
5-year master
It's
plan.
just weird.
It hits us harder. I don't know why.
Hello.
I'm glad I avoided it as long as I did, I guess, right?
See, we did.
Yes. I have a friend that's a school teacher. She goes, I don't even take a test anymore. She's like, I don't want to know.
It's like a petri dish.
Yeah, she's like, I don't even want to know.
Yeah, they could actually bring a couple chairs around.
Yeah.
Yeah, the testing's never been
Hey,
expected to
if you
be
two want to scoot our test
strange
chairs,
virus.
I guess these are office test chairs.
I tested negative. I went in, they're like, well, you need to take it.
This side better. So
Been back, okay. All right, go ahead. Yeah, look, she's like, oh yeah, red light, you definitely.
you've got at least a choice. I've got half a shot. Over here.
Go to the very beginning.
Put in your vote for the best chair.
All right, well, it is 10 a.m. and I'm going to read the disclaimer, the meeting recording disclaimer. This meeting is being recorded for transcription and archival purposes. Your active participation implies your consent to being recorded. The recording will be used for internal review and documentation. If you have any objections to being recorded, please notify us at the beginning of the meeting. Good? Okay, so I hereby call this meeting to order, and I'm going to take roll call for our attendance, and as I call each member's name, please confirm your presence. Heather Van Dyke.
Here.
Mike Gibson.
Here.
Kelly McLaren.
Here.
Kayla Brooks. Here. And myself, Mary Morales. The minutes from our March 20th, 2025 board meeting were distributed and reviewed by our members. Are there any corrections or comments on the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you. A motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. The March 20th, 2025 minutes are approved. So new business today, we are going over funding sources, the spreadsheet that you see on the screen. Would you two like a copy?
Put my prescription sunglasses on.
Okay, it's over here on this side too. If you want
I
to
have an
pull up to the
extra packet.
television,
All right, that's just getting weird.
do it. It's okay.
I'll hold it out at arm's length.
Okay, and that was the funding matrix, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
The same thing, so I'm not judging.
So today is going to be a working board. So in your packets, you're going to find that Pros Consulting is helping us maximize the impact of our resources by aligning our efforts with funding opportunities that directly support our 5-year master plan. This spreadsheet is going to help us prioritize the most viable funding sources so that we align with all of the opportunities. Our board's going to provide feedback to Pros Consulting, and I would wonder if anyone would like to read each funding description. Would that be you, Heather?
I'll read it, that's fine.
Okay, and then Kayla's going to take.
I'll read what it says, and then you tell me if you have any ideas of
Yeah,
ways to
that's
use
what
these
we're here
things,
for.
or thoughts or feedback. The first one is corporate sponsors. This revenue funding source allows corporations to invest in the development or enhancement of new or existing facilities in park systems. Sponsorships are also highly used for programs and events. We just attended a community-wide, Miriam and I, a community-wide park collaboration meeting, and McCordsville was saying that prior to them having a full-fledged board, they used corporate sponsors to sponsor events, like they're having a daytime walk club right now that's sponsored by HRH. I thought that was kind of inspiring.
Yeah, so I believe we will be using this as a source. Okay?
Next, sorry. I think it would differ per event, honestly. Theirs is weekly over point of time, and then they award like T-shirts and things like that to folks that have participated 80% of the allotted time. So I imagine the financial input is like swag and maybe advertising, I'm guessing. That's just an assumption. That's awesome.
All right, let's move on. We have, no, you're fine. It's just we have 131 lines.
Okay,
Parking is an issue if you're looking at parks, right?
Absolutely.
Corporate sponsor that may be one of your needs.
next is partnerships.
So like, corporate sponsored parking lots and things like that, or?
Yeah, like to name the parking lot after the sponsor.
That is another section further on is to name
yeah.
things, but yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Okay.
Partnerships are a joint development funding source or operational funding source between two separate agencies, such as two government entities or profits and a county department or private business and county agency. Two partners jointly develop.
So with that, Heather, I think you brought up a question regarding funds and the, conveyance of property and things like that. I think that kind of hits the nail on the head. Right now, and for a long while, we're not going to have funding. So we're going to be looking toward the county under the commissioner's umbrella, which is where we sit, right? They are on our ordinance as our governing body. And if we decide to, say, put the trail somewhere attached to Mary Ann's Penzie to make it go south, then we would utilize under the county umbrella for that funding until we get funding. Does that make sense? However, we want to pick this as one of our implementations so it is part of our master plan. I didn't mean to go into the weeds, but I kind of wanted to clarify that.
Foundations and gifts, these dollars are raised from tax-exempt nonprofit organizations established with private donations in promotion of specific causes, activities, or issues. They offer a variety of means to fund capital projects, including capital campaigns, gifts, and catalogs. I've been told that our community foundation gives out grants for projects.
So that would be a yes. Okay.
Private donations. Private donations may also be received in the form of funds, land, facilities, recreation equipment, art, or in-kind services. Donations from local and regional businesses as sponsors for events or facilities should be pursued.
And that would be a yes. Do you agree? Yep.
Volunteerism. The revenue source is an indirect revenue, sorry,
We're in private sector?
We
I'm in
are,
external funding.
line 9.
Thank you. Okay, private donations.
After it is volunteerism.
Okay. All right, so we decided private donations was
Yes.
high likelihood or a yes.
High likelihood.
But, okay, that is something that we do need to get for a little bit of,
We need a fund to put donations in. Is that what you're saying?
yes, and the ability basically to, right, to things that maybe aren't.
I hadn't discussed that, but yeah, that would make sense.
Okay.
And pros will help us navigate that, correct? Probably.
That's not, we're above that.
All right, volunteerism. The revenue source is an indirect revenue source in that persons donate time to assist the development in providing a product or service on an hourly basis. This reduces the county's cost in providing the service, plus it builds advocacy into the system.
I see us having that as a need, but not until maybe like the 5th year.
Right,
our
well, not
plan?
until we have actual parks for folks to do stuff
Right.
in, yeah, right, not right now.
So, that as an example, so before we. Independent Trails Park, it's a linear park, and we are wrapped with trying to make county and volunteer
Good point.
that every day.
Okay, so maybe that is something that's a high need.
Always something that needs to have a list right now.
Okay.
That's a very good point.
Well, it's implementation probability. So, high, I guess, because we see it working with the Penzi.
Also, that helps, because we record volunteer hours. That helps when you're writing. Like, we're actively involved.
Could that be, that's like in-kind match too, right? Because volunteer hours, I mean, you could say that those carry a value.
Policy of the grant.
Friends groups, you ready for?
Yeah, friends
Okay.
groups are great.
Friends groups, these groups are formed to raise money typically for a single focus purpose that could include a park facility or program that will better the community as a whole and their special interests. Would that be the same as our trail friend over here?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think so.
Yeah.
So we're specific for the Penzi, rested outside of the Penzi area. If it impacts the Penzi, our own entity, we're not.
Right.
We're asking to get countywide. We could, Penzi needs its own voice. To do something in McCordsville or else.
That makes sense, because, yeah, your single focus
your
is the
Penzi.
Penzi Trail.
Yeah, Penzi needs its own voice, yeah. It's gonna be the longest and a lot of implications.
Special fundraisers. Many parks and recreation agencies have special fundraisers on an annual basis to help cover specific programs and capital projects. I don't think this is a bad idea. I've just heard that getting donations for a government group is difficult. Better if it were a friends group or a.
Well, fundraisers are great if you can get the backing from sponsors and donors and,
That is why we formed the Penzi.
back in 2016, I implemented the Ducky Derby 5K dash. It was a dash for Mental Health Partners of Hancock County. And in one day, we made 10 grand. And it was significant. But we had a lot of the same donors. And that's the biggest challenge of having a board and asking, for money. Because you're asking Nine Star, you're asking the hospital, you're asking those same entities. So that's a struggle, but it can be done. So it's worth keeping on there.
Okay. Next for irrevocable remainder trusts.
So is that gonna be a medium or low?
I'm gonna say medium.
Yeah, things like that need to be discussed with DNR just to find out what that actually looks like. And I'm going to be sending out a letter here soon regarding the Nine Star Park about what exactly would be our best bang for our buck with them. So,
Additional trail.
For a fundraiser or for?
I put down medium.
Okay, I'm so confused.
Moving on to the next
Okay,
one.
Oh,
So
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
Like, what?
I thought you just, no, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I thought you'd moved on.
Let's, yeah.
Irrevocable remainder trusts.
All right.
These trusts are set up with individuals who typically have more than $1 million in wealth. They will leave a portion of their wealth to the county in a trust fund that allows the fund to grow over a period of time and then is available for the county to use. Cut off because it's,
Oh.
it
to
makes sense.
use a portion of the interest to support specific park and recreation facilities or programs that are designed by the trustee.
I don't currently have any friends that are millionaires, so I'm going to say low probability. Unless we meet someone that wants to do that.
Well, like Nine Star, they're a high net worth individual company, you know, so.
Or with planning and any kind of estate planning foundation would be one. And there's a fund for specific donations on behalf of, and then that person earmarks. They give the first 100,000 and a fund is created. And those funds and those monies are earmarked for specifically Hancock County Parks. So that would be working cross lines with different folks.
The
It's
community
pretty-
foundation who has
Absolutely.
the donors and endowments and things like that. Yep.
Ready for the next one? Crowdfunding, fairly new web-based source which aggregates funds from a group of people who are willing to support a specific project, be it program-related or facility-related. Some sites that successfully do that are Kickstarter and Razoo.com.
We'd have to investigate those things. Familiar.
He's saying low.
I would say low, but not knowing.
Unless we have a specific project that's very public popular, I don't think that that would apply, just for general day-to-day funding.
And how new we are.
Conservancies. These are organized fundraising and operational groups who raise money for individual signature parks and/or attractions such as regional parks. There are over 2,000 conservancies in the United States right now.
Well, they're asking if we should begin the conversations about a regional or destination park with revenue goals within the next 5 years. I think that's a high priority for our 5-year master. So yes, high. The next 5 years.
Other capital funds, net revenue fund, profit at the end of the year that is put into a net revenue fund. These funds are available for capital repairs, replacements, or rainy day needs. Impact fees, we already are in the process of making that happen.
Those are going to be very minimal for a long while.
And it's only for new construction. Public-private partnership. This build, operate, transfer source makes it easier for municipalities and local government entities to enter into public-private partnerships to develop projects in their communities. In the BOT framework, a third party delegates to a private sector entity to, mine's cut off.
Design and build infrastructure and to operate and maintain these facilities for a certain period. During this period, the private party has the responsibility to procure the financing for the project. The facility will then be transferred to the public administration at the end of the agreement.
So would this be like Nine Star building the park for us and then we just maintain it afterwards?
No.
Like a BOT is typically like this. The government will commit to provide a certain amount of funds to a private entity. That entity will construct and operate for a certain period of time. So let's say we had a private entity, we want to give them $250,000 a year. They're going to construct a product that we want and operate it for 10 years. We pay $250,000 each year for 10 years. They use that money to get the bonding together to construct the project. And then at the end, typically at the end of the bonding and the operation are typically at the same time.
Okay.
So we would, have to commit some funding to make payments on the BOT.
Okay.
You can handle like a balloon mortgage where you pay at the end, where you do small payments and then pay at the end, but I think most people like level.
Okay.
Yeah, and under the impacts, it says that it's upfront capital. Does not have to come from the county, though.
Yeah, that's, the only reason to do a BOT is to have someone else help with the financing, similar to I-69 Section 4 or something like that.
Gotcha.
It gets us out of the financing portion of it.
Okay.
Are different communities utilizing this to build things like, say, swimming pools, that type of like a big structure, things that need staffed?
Most local example would be tech building we're building out there. We have committed a certain amount of funds each year from the TIF collection to pay for a bond, and that bond is constructing that facility. Now, in this case, we've handed over operations to Ivy Tech and the schools, but you can structure them in different ways.
Gary, would you recommend that we added this as a priority to our 5-year master plan? Is it too?
The Senate Bill 1, you could add it in there, but Senate Bill 1 is going to affect our ability to bond to some extent. And I'm
So medium?
I don't understand it yet, and I think it's going to take a couple of months for I'm going to have any understanding. I can't pick it up that fast. I don't understand it yet.
Agreed.
I second that. User fees, program fees. This is a dedicated user fee which can be established by local ordinance or other government procedures for the purpose of constructing and maintaining recreation facilities. The fee can apply to all organized activities which require a reservation of.
Right,
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Some type or other purposes as defined by the local government. Examples of such activities include adult basketball, volleyball, tennis, and softball leagues, youth baseball, soccer, football, and softball leagues, and special interest classes. The fee allows participants an opportunity to contribute toward the upkeep of the facilities being used. The department must position its fees and charges to be market-driven and based on both public and private facilities. The potential outcome of revenue generation is consistent with national trends related to the public park and recreation agencies, which generate an average of 35 to 50% of operating expenditures. This could include daily fees for access to public-owned facilities and parks.
Right.
Biking from all over the.
No.
No.
Yeah, this would be for more of a regional park with facilities for like youth baseball. And I don't foresee us having that in the next 5 years. Do
That's
you,
not-
Gary?
Greenfield does champion fees for their site out there. Carmel charges fees for teams to play at their sports park, stuff like that.
Right.
When the sports park goes in, which we have 5 million set for in 2031, that's a possibility there that if we have or I don't know what that 5 million is going to be used for, but if they use it for a sports park, I imagine they would want to charge fees on it.
To answer their question, should we just seek more advice from pros?
Probably wise.
Yeah, let's just
It
end
doesn't
the
apply at this time, but
Not at
maybe
this
in the
time, but
future.
what if we were able to get some sort of a large LWCF grant for a regional park somewhere in the county in the next 5 years? This might be of interest.
Yeah, this would be outside of 5 years.
That's, I know, yeah, but
Okay, so I'll put low, and I'm just put outside of 5 years. Mm-hmm. So maybe once we have more
It's a goal.
facilities to manage.
yeah, it's a goal, but outside. Yeah.
Admissions membership fees. This is a revenue source, is on accessing facilities for self-directed activities such as pools, ice skate rinks, ballparks, entertainment facilities. These other fees help offset operational cost. I've heard that the Greenfield pool doesn't pay for itself. Like their admission fees don't.
That's the same with Indianapolis. That's pretty common in those type programs.
Because
They're subsidized programs.
But that's what it's referring to, those types of activities.
Yes. I just,
So this makes me think of a grant to move the shooting range, which we would, if we did get that grant, they could move it behind the jail if that were to ever happen. I know that Brad Burkhart's done a lot of work right in that area, so it's probably way down the road, but I know that there is a grant for shooting range if you have it open for 20 hours a month to the public to teach archery or shooting or whatever. That would be a membership fee for that.
I guess I've got another one on that one too. This is for accessing facilities for self-directed activities. And this mentions a lot of different types of facilities that are more, I would guess, more city park oriented. But another place we see these is, say, state parks. They have sometimes like the stop bar, and it kind of controls entry. There might be an admission fee at the house to get in. I almost wonder if,
You have to have a lot of usership to pay for that, because you have to have someone there to maintain that capital and things. So
yes.
if you don't have a huge user.
And I guess part of what I'm thinking is if there is kind of an unmanned version of something like that, if it were ever necessary, almost more to control, have some idea of who is entering and
Like a
exiting.
parking garage.
Yeah, like a parking garage. So just an idea.
Federal can't a box. Sign in, pay fee. I mean, cars, they don't make round parks. Or the federal parks are basically open.
Keep our eyes open for it.
Okay. I guess I'm almost thinking of it as to keep an eye on, because I know we've had, if we're looking at more rustic type things or more rural, less developed, it might be a good control mechanism. Okay, got it.
Permits. These special permits allow individuals to use specific park property for financial gain. The county either receives a set amount of money or a percentage of that gross service that is being provided.
Yeah, we should set up a permit. That'd be if we build a park, if someone wants to do a commercial event there, they should pay a permit.
Yeah.
So we need to get.
That just be
We had a shelter
We
house.
can do it. Okay.
She's like, I'm on it.
Be careful with the pins, though. They're a conservation.
It wouldn't be affected, I wouldn't think.
Yeah.
We have a first come, first.
I was thinking more like when we talked about having like the canoe launch, than having a private company that's there to rent out canoes that we don't maintain.
That'd be a vendor relationship, which it's another P3 type, public-private partnership type of agreement.
And that might fall.
That's certainly something doable.
Rentals. This revenue source comes from the right to reserve specific public property for a set amount of time. The reservation rates are usually set and apply to a group of picnic shelters, meeting rooms, or for weddings, reunions, or outings, other types of facilities for specific activities. The rental of equipment such as tables, chairs, tents, stages, bicycles, kayaks, canoes, etc., that are used for recreation purposes also fall under this source. And then we're on to grants. The first one is the Land and Water Conservation Fund.
That's high.
Yep. Up to 50% reimbursement for outdoor recreation projects. Indiana reviews Land Water Conservation Fund grant applications and submits recommended projects to the National Park Service for final approval. For development, it's cut off again. This is so much fun.
Sorry.
It's all good. No, mine did it too.
So you're on the Indiana Department of Resources Trails?
A National Park Service for final approval. That's fine.
Yeah, that's high.
It's Indiana Department of Resource, Indiana Trails Program. That's the one that I was talking about last month. For development of urban trail linkages, trailhead and trailside facilities, maintenance of existing trails, restoration of trail area damaged by usage, improving access for people with disabilities, acquisition of easement and property, development and construction of new trails, purchase and lease of recreational trail construction and maintenance equipment, environment and safety education programs related to trails. I'd say high. Okay. Next Level Trails. Next Level Trails is designed to incentivize collaborative efforts to accelerate trail connections. The DNR Division of Outdoor Recreation will administer the program in conjunction with the Indiana Department of Transportation.
With that one, Gary, is that the one you think we'll use to see if we can get reimbursed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So we'll be on that one for reimbursement.
Out of order. What is the TA program?
I have Next Level, and then I have, right?
It's under sorry, I'm out of.
Metropolitan Planning Organization.
My paragraphs and my titles aren't lined up.
It's the way it printed.
Yeah, I know, I have, and yeah.
It was fun.
The TA program is funded through the Transportation Improvement Program and supports active modes of transportation such as trails, sidewalks, and safe routes to school. This program can also assist with historic preservation or tourism projects. The call for projects is typically for project letting 4 years in advance. The projects must align with the MPO's short and long-range plans, including Metropolitan Transportation Plan.
TAP funding, we've already used it in several cases.
Okay.
Like up in Shirley.
Yeah, so this would be high. Gary for being here, by the way.
No problem. I got a meeting. I got a kickoff meeting at 11, but
Okay.
support the team.
Regional Economic Acceleration and Development Initiative. This state program designed to promote collaboration amongst local communities and promote coordinated long-term planning to attract and retain top talent in Indiana. Funding goes towards projects related to quality of life, place, and opportunity. Coordination with economic development organizations and neighboring municipalities is required.
So let's reach out to our HEDC and see what we can collaborate on.
This was low chance. We spent a lot of this on utilities, and it's going away with all the COVID stuff.
Right.
The one that we were asked to participate in.
The Riley Historic Trail, you mean? No.
That was
You're correct. They did not get theirs.
Okay. Local nonprofit foundation grants. This would be community foundation, right?
yes.
These nonprofit foundations raise money through community foundations for parks and help support local park foundations on a local and regional level.
Mary Ann and her nonprofit group have been helping a great deal on Pennsy Trail, so this is an active, useful one.
Community and urban forestry assistance. The objective of this funding opportunity is to inventory, plan, evaluate, educate, and plant trees. The only allowable costs for this grant program include the cost of 1 tree inventories, 2 management plans, and ordinance updates, 3 purchase of trees, 4 planting trees, 5 urban forestry educational programs, publications, signage, etc., to encourage comprehensive urban forest management and better public understanding of urban forestry topics. NRPA grant and funding resources. Tell me if you want me to stop. The National Recreation and Park Association periodically posts information about grants and funding opportunities that are available for parks and recreation agencies. Grant opportunities are posted in areas of conservation, environmental habitat, programming, social issue initiatives, art and facility amenity development. Comments?
The cafe from before I'm interested in. We have a bunch of small parcels of land that we haven't planned anything on that we bought for different road projects. I'd like to get trees on those. And specifically, we have a 20-acre parcel to the north of the school we're building that I wouldn't mind to add forest on for a while. So the cafe, specifically items 3 and 4, I'd be interested in looking at. I'm not very educated on that though, so.
Is there a particular definition of urban in those situations?
I'm not particularly educated on it. It perks my interest though, because we want to plant.
And at the meeting, we were talking about the 250th signing of the Constitution that's coming up. And the Chamber of Commerce is wanting to plant trees. They have 56 signatures or 54 on the Constitution.
56 signatures on the Declaration of Independence.
And so they want to plant 56 trees and then do like a passport to find them. So I would like to
Lots of places to plant trees.
work with you on trying to figure out where we want to
Lots
put those. Okay.
Are we looking for any sizes, or are we just trying to like let things go back to nature?
More like types. I like native plants, obviously.
Cordsville is giving away 500 some seedlings for Arbor Day.
And they're going to have tulips trees. I love tulip trees.
Native plants. Food producing is nice for the animals, but not too messy. See a lot of pigments, but native plants.
The CDBG funding. Funding received in accordance with the Community Development Block Grant Program's national objectives as established by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Funding may be applied to such programs as infrastructure improvement, public facility and park improvements, human service enhancements, lead-based paint education, and reduction of housing, education assistance, and economic development anti-poverty strategies.
Joni talked me into chasing one of these down by the depot stuff, and I thought she was crazy, but that actually worked out pretty well. So it's not really a county thing. I don't know if we're competitive on that, but
What about the round barn? I'm just thinking it's historic round barn urban if we were able to work with
I
them
was
somehow
on
through the community foundation and this funding.
I'm
Just a
on
pipe
to
dream.
I've
IPRA.
been successful in receiving that grant in the past.
Have or haven't?
Have.
Have? Yep.
Okay, and that's the okra?
Us.
It's a waiver, yes.
Okay. There, okay, yeah, we'll have to.
Okay.
Next.
Yep.
IPRA Foundation scholarships, professional development scholarships, leisure study grants and scholarships, up to $500 for registration to conferences, school and workshops, predominantly for small towns, and that typically do not have funds for professional development. The IHCDA. This is a crowd granting model that gets citizens involved with funding. A goal of up to $50,000 is created, and the IHCDA matches the amount for the total up to $100,000 per project. Projects should instill community pride and include beautification, playgrounds, public space activation or improvements, community programs or events, and connectivity initiatives.
That would look like, is that like the Parkview, sorry, Marion, is that like the Parkview subdivision going in? Because they have a grant for that because of the,
They're using the land water
that's right,
conservation.
that's right. I don't know how we would implement this one. Ideas?
I'm thinking like community murals. I'm thinking like
Okay, so,
sidewalk.
Are we on IRPA?
I was on.
yes.
Yes.
No, I
No.
thought we were on IHCDA, which is
IHCDA.
the Indiana Housing
I'm
and
sorry,
Community
I'm one
Development.
It's
behind.
okay.
Okay,
It's the crowd granting that gets citizens involved with fundraising. And
okay.
it said it should instill community pride and include beautification, playgrounds, public space activation. I went to an inner city elementary school that didn't have a playground. We played balls and jump ropes in the parking lot at recess. And a group came in and the community built a playground. And literally it was 100%, it was called the 1,000 Hands Project, 100% community.
That's cool.
Donated materials. And they, basically this company just gives you a kit and then the community like finds the materials that build the playground. And then everyone just like, there were kids sanding stuff. It was really cool. That's the picture I get in my head with that.
This create, do we have,
I was gonna say, in Cumberland on the trail, they've done some, like a music, kind of playground and, also some mural things. I don't know if they use these grants, but type of thing going on.
We have a, basically, we have West Eagle Station area for outdoor environmental science learning for grades 1 through adult. But what we don't have is the little kids, and so I little kids playground. Finally found somebody to talk to that can build me an ant, the kid to get on and less than first grade, basically. This would be, I need a grant for that. Specific, because we can't use trail money for that, and so this is a grant that I'd like for that.
This is a neat website too, if you guys have been on it, where it is truly saying, hey, community, if you can get enough support to get this much for it, we'll give you the rest, we'll match it. And so it is neat, but if you can't meet it, then you're kind of.
So, right, and so we want to we'll figure out what your site is for that, and so really interested into this. I have a spot all picked out, I know exactly what I want, I just need a funding source for that. Or it would actually help that. The other thing I don't know is our vault toilet that we want at this site. Very well appreciated. There is nothing there. Not accessible, and it's just small. We'd like, because we want school groups to come here. We're come and you've got one single little double. This grant would pick up, start donating to that. Start working on our match.
Awesome.
High on that one.
Very cool. Okay.
MIBOR.
MIBOR Economic and Community Development Council Grant Program. The MIBOR Realtor Association Grant Program seeks opportunities for job attraction, retention, placemaking, quality of life, housing, and diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives to fund on a quarterly basis.
They were volunteers on our site.
Fast growing community, so they have interest in us.
Can you go back so I can get a picture?
It's on the screen in front of you. You want me to go to? Okay.
I have a contact for that. Can look. I didn't know they did grant volunteer.
Yeah, anything over 10,000, you'll have to contact MIBOR, but.
Indiana Department of Natural Resource Lake and River Enhancement Program. Grant funds are directed towards ensuring public access, lakes and streams remain in good condition. This program provides technical and financial assistance for projects that improve water quality and restore waterways.
That's high because of Sugar Creek.
How widely can we talk about water quality?
Right?
Say that right now we have problems with Sugar Creek blockage with trees down. In the past, there was a group with the Soil and Water Conservation. Do that up, but it's definitely in need of help the flow of water and flooding, but watching
The challenge right now after the flooding. Significant. Yeah.
we have a little stream and we're trying to keep ours clean, but that's something that we need now. Not gonna be able to creek. I kayaked down Sugar Creek once. I had to get out of my kayak probably 10 times to go around. Well, that was 10 years ago. If you're gonna do anything like kayaking or anything.
Land trust.
Land trust. Many systems have developed land trusts to help secure and fund the cost for acquiring land that needs to be preserved and protected for greenway purposes. This could be a good source to look to for acquisitions for future lands. I just heard someone use the term land bank the other day, where they buy the land in one name and then before they develop it, then they switch it to the other.
So Central Indian Land Trust actually, basically SHROM is local. They actually looked at properties in Hancock.
Arbor Day Foundation Corporate Partnership. The Arbor Day Foundation connects corporations who want to donate $15,000 to $20,000 and have a volunteer day for their employees planting trees. They determine preferred areas, and ADF connects them with planting partners, charities, local government.
Have to do that this month.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
Historic Preservation Fund, the DHPA receives funding under the Historic Preservation Fund program, which is administered by the U.S. Department of the Interior, National Park Service. The HPF program helps promote historic preservation and archaeology in Indiana.
I would like to propose checking out this fund for the memorial building at some point.
That would have to, so it's under county ownership, but it's in Greenfield's Historic Preservation District. So there would have to be
Collaboration.
a lot of, in fact, I don't know that the parks would have anything to do with that.
That might be under your commissioner realtor hat, not your park hat.
Yeah. Yep, I think that might be the answer there.
Indiana Department of National Resources, a program that helps the restoration, establishment, enhancement, and preservation of national aquatic resources. The funds come from fees paid to the DNR to satisfy compensatory mitigation requirements for building permits. The DNR assists with costs associated with design and construction of these projects. Safe Routes to School. The Safe Routes to School program is a national initiative aimed to make it safer and more convenient for students to walk and bike to school. In Indiana, this program is administered by the Indiana Department of Transportation, which offers grants to fund trail development.
I think that because the Building and Planning Department require now, thank you guys for being here. You guys now require in your new plats a safe way to walk around the subdivisions now, isn't that part of,
We are getting that written in, yep.
okay, so, but can we go back to line 81, the Indiana Department of Natural Resources again real quick? The Watersheds and Aquatic Resource Project, I'm just trying to figure out how I can, there's a property that is at 500 North and 300 East, and it is mitigation area they're trying to get for wetlands, and I think the county is really interested in buying it. Is this something that I can, is this a funding opportunity for that particular piece, you think? So I would have to, I'm going to call on you one day, Mike,
Well,
to go out there and take a look at these things. It's
I made big notes here because we're dealing with one right now that it is expensive to mitigate wetlands on the property itself, or you have to purchase property outside your land, but it has to be in certain regions. So if, like at 38th and Carroll is the project we're working on, he can't go too far outside of that watershed and trying to buy ground.
Yeah.
But he's looking at $800,000 just to mitigate maybe 2 acres of wetlands.
And where's this at?
38th and Carroll. That's where the subdivision's gonna go.
Okay.
He's looking for ground. See, he has to pay that to DNR, or he has to build it on site. So it's a check that he has to write to DNR that they go out and build those wetlands. So DNR would be,
Might be a good resource to discuss that with.
That's
Well,
pretty,
Really, probably.
What does
That's
mitigate
probably not
mean
the
in this
right term.
circumstance?
mitigate is exactly what, so it's wetlands that's on his property that's been delineated wetlands. Okay, that means he can't do anything with that
Because they count on it to take water.
unless he moves that wetlands off-site
right.
or pays an absorbent fee. So they really protect that. So it is a good avenue if you have development companies that have 2 acres. Now they have to go find maybe 6 acres.
But that
It's 3 to 1.
This piece that she's talking about, I just split off of it. I don't know if it was one of your projects. Showed it to me. I'm like, I put my hands on that recently.
5 north and 3 east.
Bog, right? Nowhere bog.
It's by Todd Green's home.
That's between 6 and 3 or 5.
5 and 3.
I just,
Is a,
5.
peat moss.
Yeah, the old peat moss.
Mm-hmm. Gone,
Boom, lived forever,
gone.
right? Sometimes.
It is right here.
so I just split the house. If you move that down a little.
Hang on, I'm going to try to zoom in. Thought. Please hold.
Yeah, we were wanting to put 6 3-acre lots in there. No, I'm just kidding.
Teaneck Farms. I
Yeah,
can't
that's
remember. I know.
Todd Green's kids' initials.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't make it look any better. I'm trying.
So
At all.
there's a house. I cut that off and then everything up to the creek.
Right.
And they sold that. Or gave it to, I don't know
Yeah,
if they're
yeah, yeah.
relatives or not, I never know. But they transferred the name to the, transferring their name to the house.
Right.
So all the rest is remainder, and that's what they're interested in finding a home for.
Yeah, so Susan Bodkin sent information. I can share that with the board.
Can you put the floodplain on there?
Yep. Well, here's a regulated drain that runs through the south part of it. And then, it is all underwater.
Right.
So the next section is tax support, and I spoke with Mary Bomer, who's our bookkeeper, and Nicole Byerly, who's our settlement deputy, and Cindy Carver, who is our RDC admin, because they are smarter in this post-tax collection part of taxes than I am. We currently do not have any special taxing district bonds. We do have special taxing districts, but they're all MTEs, so they're farmland inside of the city. That's all I know about that. That was my whole.
Is this something that we would have a further discussion with Pros Consulting on to see? I don't really understand it
We
either.
currently in Hancock County don't use that.
Okay, low, we don't currently use it.
Okay.
Lease rental bonds. You enter into a lease agreement with a building corporation to pay for capital projects. Lease payments may be paid through special benefit tax for Park District, which is outside of the constitutional debt limit and maximum levy for the county. I was told that Greenfield currently has one of these, and we used a similar bond to buy our jail. We sold it to a building corporation and we make payments. Food and beverage tax is 1 to 2% with proceeds dedicated to capital projects. This is currently, it all goes into a pot and they use it for one-time purchases. It is set to sunset within the next 10 years.
Unless it's renewed, right? We have to do that via, per local ordinance, or is that a state thing? Anybody know?
It's a local food and beverage tax. I don't know if the ability to do that's what has to go.
Okay. It says actions required, special legislation committing new funds for county.
Talk with the tourism.
Oh.
Tells.
That's next. That's coming up.
It's innkeepers.
I know I fund a lot of stuff for my department, like new plans, like that. A lot of things for that departments come and ask for from the council. Food and beverage fund is kind of
Yeah, it's their one-time purchase fund.
is that how it, okay, that's
Yeah.
a good way to put it.
Yeah. So if you have an emergency and need something right now, but you're not gonna need it year after year, they'll use that. Next is cumulative capital development fund, allocated at least a portion of existing collected capital projects, i.e. undecided amounts in current fund balance and or future increases in revenue above current commitments resulting from increases in assessed valuation. Mary said that they use this to purchase capital assets such as land or vehicles or
Vault toilet.
You would have to, so I was told, like this, so the gentleman, when we were in the meeting, he wanted to know, does our county use these things on this part of the list? And would they consider using them to fund us? I can answer the first question. I was told the second question is almost entirely based on how bad SB1 affects it. No one's gonna make future commitments until we fully understand how this bill is gonna, because this is where it's hitting us. Innkeeper's tax, it's a 5% county innkeeper's tax that can be dedicated to parks and recreation. Currently, it all goes to tourism, and we can ask them for grants if we want to partner with tourism.
Right. So,
Funding our website, right?
That's awesome.
so
Trying to figure out how to help us, and it's like,
when I spoke with Bridget about collaboration, she said it would have to be partnership where we're asking for people outside our county to
Yeah.
come to the county, so. it
Something
has
that
to-
promotes tourism.
Correct.
yeah,
And then they would,
there,
yeah.
you're gonna help us with some, west, and we're gonna all the schools and outside of the county.
Did that answer the?
High
Yeah.
priority item then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To find a way to work
Yes.
together.
We've been, for so long, we've been butting heads because we couldn't figure out a way to work together. We're finally,
That's great. Are we going to extend our meeting? I'm sorry.
Can't stay too much longer after 11.
The reason why I wondered if we could continue the meeting, or do we want to circle back?
We should probably,
Because I just have a couple more things on here.
let's hit pause on this item for a minute and get through the rest of our agenda.
Yep.
Okay, and then we can probably pick, did we have a deadline that we needed to get through this by for Travis?
If we do, we'll figure out how to maybe coordinate a couple people
Okay,
together after this, and since you're staff, you can work with the other two.
I can do that.
Perfect. So with that, I was going to show you guys all the 9-Star Park. Let me see if I have it up real quick and try to fly through this. Gosh, I'm sorry. Thought I had it up. Here we go. Oh, no kidding. Sorry, it didn't stay. You have in your packet a copy of the 9-Star Park Trail. It's going to come off of 300 from the Penzie. Also in your packet is a copy of the wellheads. So I went out there and toured this with Gary Poole and George. I can't pronounce his last name. Can you help me, Kayla? Do you know it? Polinsky. And we have come up with this trail concept. It shoots off right at 300 in between 9-Star and Mr. Skillman's property. This is just phase 1, which would come down and loop around and then go straight down to 100 South. At some point, the second phase will be a tile fill and a fill because of the elevation at 100 South, and we'll put parking and a trailhead there. And then further down the road, we'll end up getting a pavilion probably and some other amenities on the property. We're negotiating right now just the stone. That's all we're talking about, the trail. Parking wouldn't be down at 100 South, not up at the trailhead. Okay, email me that, all right? Can you email me a question on that? Oh, here, yes, you can have those. Yes,
And
go ahead, and then,
talk to her about the cemetery.
Dye Cemetery, I found it, it's 160 South, which is south of 100 South.
Really?
And 300, it needs to be identified and
Relocated?
re-identified.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so old business,
But not relocated, just identified.
just identified and
Yeah.
longitude, latitude.
Yeah, the online resources
Yes.
need to be
Ourselves into it.
relocated.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
John Milburn
Okay.
keeps track of our cemeteries. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. So old business, the board member seat update. So, old business, let's see, the Board of Commissioners completed interviews and officially appointed a new board member on April 15th. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and welcome Jenny Shively, who has been appointed to our Park and Recreation Board. Although she's unable to join us today's meeting, we're excited to have her on the board and look forward to the insight and contribution she will bring in the future. And Jenny will be fulfilling the seat